no one can believe that, like the side of people who are victims, people who have been suffering, people who've been definitely been killed for no reason, should be the one who will lose. Like life shouldn't be like this. So I know that everything around us tells us that, and so many people were looking at what we were talking about, what we were like referring to, and they will be like, "You're very romantic."
But this isn't the way the world works.
Yeah,
that's what they're telling you.
Exactly. Like it was just like a big house of glass, and yeah, it's broken all, and there's no more fear, and now we definitely have hope more than ever in our life.
Welcome to the Big Picture podcast. My name is Mohammed Hassan, and today it's my great honor to welcome back to the show award-winning Syrian filmmaker, documentarian, Waad al-Kateab. Waad, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
And thank you for welcoming us into your beautiful home.
Very welcome, and I can't wait to have you in Syria.
Thank you. I can't wait to be there and to have a third conversation in Aleppo, hopefully soon. So the last time that we spoke was, I think, I went back to check, it was almost 2 years ago now.
Yeah.
And that was a conversation that was quite layered, and it was about your experience being a refugee here in Britain and coming to terms with what it means to start your life new. And part of that conversation, we were talking about what was happening in Syria, what was happening with the Assad regime, and the efforts to try and keep this fight, this plight alive in a world that was starting to move on. And I'll be honest with you, I did not imagine at all. Maybe I wouldn't have made that, I wouldn't have said it out loud, but I wouldn't have imagined that I would ever have this conversation with you this soon about the liberation of Syria.
Yeah.
Did you imagine that this day was going to come?
I mean, I think I deep down wanted this to be true, and I wanted to keep that hope. But of course, when you look at all the elements and what's going on around the world, what's going on in Syria, like nothing was really there, like not even, in my lifetime, I would say. And sometimes when I just want to keep that hope, like even, like when it's too far, I would have said, at least I know that my daughters one day would be able to go back. But as you said, like it's been now 6 days since that happened, and I'm still like trying to punch myself and like to even talk with Hamza, my husband, and say like, is this really happened? Is this really true? And it is, yes. Yes, I want to acknowledge this moment. I want to be proud of this moment as Syrian. And I want to be also, I think, celebrating this moment as a human being, because everything we've witnessed all these years, everything we've been through, can't be the normal situation and the normal life. And for this word to be right, should be the ending. And this, maybe it's late as well, but whatever. Like we kept the fight, we kept our belief, and here we are.
And we've been, as you said, we've been spending 6 days watching the incredible historic footage coming out of cities all across Syria and in Damascus, in the capital, and this feeling of joy and relief. How does this moment feel? How does it feel to you, and how does it feel to your family?
I mean, to be honest, there's like feeling of over the moon, which we can't really kind of express out. There's so much sobbing and crying. I mean, now as you speak, I just feel like, I bumped into tears. I just want to like cry. And it's a lot of pain, a lot of grief, a lot of mourning for all these years, for everyone we lost, for acknowledging, that Syria, finally, it's going to be birthed again. And the fact that, like, it is a remarkable moment, Assad has escaped to Russia, and he's like proof again and again how coward he is. and how the Syrian people all these years, with everything, we've been through, even people who were believing him as God, he let them down as well, and he left, and he didn't care about that. I mean, we knew.
He hasn't even made a statement.
Not even a statement, which is, to be honest, it's amazing. Like how would you imagine someone who've been doing all this like long speeches, jokes and like complicated, statements and stuff, stupid ones as well in so many places, but like not even commenting on, not even telling his, I'm not talking just about now civilians who are pro his like ruling and are scared of him or whatever, but also very high officials who they were like doing everything for him. He didn't even tell them to leave. It was just, I think this is the best scenario we would ever imagine.
Your film for Sama, multiple award-winning, Oscar-nominated, Emmy and BAFTA winning, really was our introduction to you as a storyteller. And to many people, it was an introduction to what the plight of Syrian refugees was. And it was at the height of the siege of Aleppo that you were documenting this brutal and inhumane attempt by Bashar al-Assad to seize control of Aleppo, but also his country. And the scenes at the end of that film, of the aftermath of that fight, that went on for 5 years, and the scenes of people leaving, the last of the refugees that were making that difficult decision to leave their home behind, felt, I mean, it was devastating to watch, because it felt like the end.
Yeah, it was the end at that time. Yes.
Yeah.
It was the end until last week.
Until 2 weeks ago, the 30th of November, when we got news that Aleppo was liberated.
Yeah.
This is your city. This is a city that you grew up in. Where were you when you got this news?
I mean, I was here. I had my third film coming out. It's about the earthquake that hit Syria and Turkey. So we had full week of screenings in London. And every time we were talking about that, which is, it's 7 years after the leaving of Aleppo, when people who are also refugees, went through a very difficult also event like the earthquake. And we were just talking about all of this, layers of being a refugee in a different place, starting your life over again and again, and then, like being killed, or your beloved ones were killed because of the earthquake. So it was really full week of too many other emotions as well. And then we saw the battle started. And as Syrian who follows the news very much, and we know people on the ground, we're getting used, to a battle start and then it's going nowhere. And we always had, so many violation happening, things where we're not comfortable with, even when our side is the one who's winning or the regime the one who's losing. But this one was remarkable in everything. We've been watching, we couldn't believe it. We were still and then yes, people went into Aleppo. Our friends and activists who we know for years, we've seen them in places like Aleppo University, in East Aleppo, around the hospital, in places where we were. And it's maybe a little bit complex, but Aleppo was east and west. We were in east part of Aleppo, and this is where we left. I mean, I lived my life in West Aleppo before this, but to be honest, as someone who went through all this trauma, even when I imagine myself going back, it was only to east part of Aleppo. I wouldn't even dare to extend my dreams to places where I know it was always with the regime, we will never have it again. And when this moment happened, it really opened, I think, so much wounds. We wouldn't even, I think, realize. And that's where it went back to my hometown, when I came from, which is near Hama, in Masyaf. It's a place where I've never even mentioned to anyone, not at the news, not even around friends, because it's just in the long past, which will never be real. I also didn't mention it ever because about security reasons, and it's a sensitive area where there's too many like complex situation, and even my real name, I've never used it before. So it was too many things coming all together, and they arrived to Hama also like very quickly, then to Homs. Same day to Homs was my town, which we thought even if the regime falls, this would be something, you know, complicated we'll deal with later. And with all of these like things, we've seen people, civilians, going out to the street, chanting with these fighters. And the first kind of video came out from Damascus was 2 cars of civilians. One has like 4 girls, like my age maybe, and another car, also civilians. They arrived to the main square in Damascus, having like in the car the song of Sarut. That was like the announcement of Syria and Assad fall, like the big one, you know, all Syria. Because all the time also we have this like multiple scenarios about, you know, like dividing Syria, where is this going? This area will be like opposition or pro-Assad, whatever. This is the first time we've seen this like huge public, you know, like it was just like a big house of glass, and yeah, it's broken all, and there's no more fear, there's no more others, and we became again like, I'm not gonna say before 2011, I'm gonna say it's like the first moment of the revolution when we realized that we have hope, and now we definitely have hope more than ever in our life.
It reminds me, you kind of mentioned this idea of daring and dreaming, and that there's a phrase that I feel like that has been recurring in your life, which is "we dare to dream."
Yeah.
It was the title of your film, your most recent film. It was the title of your exhibit that
Yes.
I met you on when we had this conversation. What does that phrase mean to you? Why does it resonate so much?
So it started actually like at the year when For Sama went to the Oscars and we were nominated there, and I wanted to make a statement on the Oscars, like on that amazing red carpet on that platform, and I wanted this statement to be to my Syrian friends, to my Syrian fellows, to my Syrian people, and I did that phrase on Arabic calligraphy on the dress, and I said, "We dare to dream, and we won't regret dignity." And that at that time, it was definitely a lost moment. You know, like it was years after Aleppo, but we didn't want to acknowledge that. You know, we didn't want to believe that we lost. No one can believe that, you know, like the side of people who are victims, people who have been suffering, people who've been definitely being killed for no reason, should be the one who will lose. You know, like life shouldn't be like this. So I know that everything around us tells us that, and so many people were looking at what we were talking about, what we were like referring to, and they will be like, "You're very romantic," and
But this isn't the way the world works.
Yeah,
that's what they're telling you.
Exactly, but I didn't want to. Even some of my Syrian friends, they were like, "You're making us so tired, like because this hope is fake," and yes, maybe it was. But I didn't want to give up. I didn't want to really let it go. Like for me, this is my entire life. This is why I survived. Even when it's romantic, I don't really care. I do dream, like I do dare to dream. So I just wanted to make it on that dress to send this message. And that's where it started. And then it became my second film name. It became my exhibition. And until today, I think, and the minute the regime falls, this is what I wrote on Facebook. We dare to dream and we won't regret dignity. Because wherever we are, you know, even today, maybe tomorrow wouldn't hold like the amazing future that we are dreaming of, but it's definitely worth our dignity and our freedom and what we are feeling today as Syrians within whole free Syria.
And of course, you are feeling a tremendous amount of joy and relief and grief, as you said. But it also, I know that there's a lot of trepidation. There's a lot of anxiousness about what the future holds, what the immediate future holds.
Yeah.
And we are seeing a lot of how the rest of the world reacts to this very sudden, very unexpected news. And we see this government and some other governments decide very quickly that they are going to halt the refugee applications of
Yeah.
Syrians. What does that mean? How do you feel about hearing something like that?
I mean, to be honest, I do understand how complicated the situation is, and I do understand. And I think, as so many Syrians, like tomorrow won't be perfect. Not even maybe in 10 years after everything we've been through, 13 years of war, like 53 years of Assad ruling Syria, the father and Bashar himself, with so many issues, corruption and stuff. Like, it needs time and it needs so much work to be done, and it needs all of us to be there together or outside or whatever this role you can do. But like, it's going to be a long journey, toward a better tomorrow or like a better future. However, we've been also so like upside down all these years. We've moved so many different areas and places, and here I'm not just talking about myself. Like, with everything I've been through, I'm one of the lucky ones. So imagine how other people would be, like living, and our life is very complicated. For years we've tried just to push the idea of we're going back from our head, because it was killing us when we know that we can't go back. And now everything's flipped us upside down, and we still have no certain situation on the ground. However, you can't just like, with everything we are going through, just like I think it was just so shocking, and we couldn't really like understand that, as much as we are not understanding that the regime really falls. And now, like, all these governments, they decide to pause this. It's so much like trauma even for us, because we just need one moment to realize and understand what happened. We just want moment to breathe, to celebrate, to understand where we are, to like even reflect these feelings, which is very complicated. And then you have to crash all this and start to think about your paperwork, what we're going to do, how to go back. And it's not that easy, because as well, all the other countries around Syria, we were not allowed to go to, without Syrian passport, which no one has as refugees. With the travel document that we have from these governments, this is not acceptable even to enter. Like, it's not like for Turkey you need visa, for Lebanon and Jordan you need security permission, which it doesn't really like recognize the travel document as a passport to travel to. So it was just really, I think, shocking and inhumane at the moment when people just need to understand what happened. These governments just decided to pause all these applications and deal with us like, I don't know, like, I know they are very happy. We are happy that we're going to be back. But can you just give us a second, please?
Because what does this mean immediately for people that are waiting for decisions on their applications, or have just arrived and are applying, and as you said, they don't know whether they can go back today or tomorrow or not?
I mean, so many of these people, like, first, they don't have a place to go back. Even in Syria, like, yes, we have our country back, but so many of us have very complicated situation with their homes, with their families. And, adding to the earthquake situation that happened 2 years ago, like, there was over 10,000 people were killed in Syria and Turkey as Syrian refugees. And these people, like, homes have been destroyed. So, like, it's complicated. It's not just like, go to Syria and be in the street. That's it, it's a very complicated situation. Plus, for those like me and other people who have kids, like, it's just so complicated. We're not even understanding to explain to them, where we are today. What do we even feel today? Like, Sama told me, like, she said to us, like, on the second day, she was like, "You're so weird, guys. You cry and then you dance. You dance and then you cry. What's going on?" So it's
this is your daughter who's 8 years old
She's
now?
9 years old.
9 years old.
So it's too complicated even for us, to explain. And then all these ideas about, is it safe, is it not safe? Like, when you are talking to your kids about your own feeling and your own country, like, they know it's not safe. They know, like, it can be changing in 1 second, even in their minds. They have their life here. They don't speak even enough Arabic to be there as well. So there's like a process between even us and them to decide what we want to do, what is best for them. We've been damaged, like, with our trauma and everything we went through, and we just need to make it right for them. So like it's not just like one decision you can pack and leave. Although, you know, this is what we really feel we want to do. But this is maybe not the right thing. So I really don't know. Like, I want to go back, but I won't do it and destroy my two daughters' life, which I've been trying to protect like all these years. So it's hard decision. You can't just like make it like this, you know. It just needs time and thinking and a process even for us to be able to, like, you know, step back into our country and start our life over again, which is we're so happy to do, but I just need like time
You
and
need
process.
time, yeah. So what do you need from the British government right now? What do you need them to be doing for you, for your family, for other Syrians that are here?
I think the first thing is really to deal with these asylum seekers who arrived after they've been through a lot in a humane way. Like, when just give them time, please. Like, keep going with the applications that you have, and yeah, pause whatever, but like just give us time and deal with us as a human being. The other thing, there's so much work to be done in Syria. So many like new like situations we've never been or even imagined to deal with. There's very urgent help for all the detainees and the prisons that we can't even find until today. There's so much support we need for the local organization like the White Helmet and other organizations who are like doing amazing now, but they can't do enough because, you know, going from, I don't know, like 2 cities to like 14 cities, it's not like, it's very big, huge change. We need to keep, I mean, unfortunately, all these years we didn't really get support as, you know, Russia and Iran supported Assad. You know, we were always like with the statements, but please minimize your involvement in terms of what we want to do in our future, because it's our own rights. And just support us in what we need to do, and don't plant any agendas around what's benefits for you as governments.
Yeah. The Assad regime has been something that has been a staple of your entire lifetime.
Yeah.
And a big part of even your parents' lifetimes.
Yeah.
And I know the last time we spoke, you were also talking about what it meant as a mother to try and bring your daughters up with an awareness. You want them to have a normal life, but you also want them to be aware of where they've come from and what that means. What does it feel like to think about your daughter's life growing up without the Assad regime in their life?
Yeah, I think it was really remarkable, not just, you know, for me to live this moment, but to see my parents also going through this moment. And like, what really kind of, you know, hit me so much, that when they were saying how proud they are of me, Hamza, and the girls, you know, of being part of this. And, you know, when you see like your mom, like I was sobbing, you know, I was crying crazily, but when you see your parents crying that way, which it feels like, you know, they're getting out all the fear that they lived through, all the bad memories that they have. It just so, I think, incredible, really. And yes, they believed that this should be happening, but same thing, I think they didn't imagine this would happen. I think it's really an amazing, remarkable moment, which again, I think we should be really proud of and really celebrating. It's a new era for Syria, and there's a lot to be done again, and we're ready to do that. And if Assad fall, there's nothing else would be difficult.
What kind of Syria do you want to see now, rebuilding from the ashes?
I think definitely Syria without Assad, without any values or non-values that Assad was trying to, you know, spread in Syria. Syria without corruption, Syria for all. It's the Syria that we dreamt of in 2011. Freedom, dignity, and a state of law where it's respect every citizens there. I hope really that we can work around justice. It's very hard and difficult and complicated, but it's very needed for us to be able to move forward.
And finally, I'm really curious to ask you this, and I was thinking about it on my way over to your house. You mentioned it very briefly earlier in our conversation, but your name, Waad al-Kateab.
Yeah.
And your husband's name, Hamza al-Kateab, who
Yes.
obviously is a reference to the 14-year-old Hamza,
Yeah.
who has become a symbol and whose face has reemerged as kind of as people grieve him and grieve what has happened. This is a name that you took as part of the revolution, but also in large part to protect your identity.
Yeah.
As you spoke out. Have you thought about what happens to that name now? Is this who you are, or,
I think
or do you go back?
Yeah, it's very weird because for all of us who were, naming ourselves something else to hide, to pretend we're someone else. But to be honest, like this is exactly who we are, what we want to do. This is really our honest, feeling and thoughts and bravery and all of this. So for me, I don't think I will leave the name, but maybe I would start to use both.
Oh yeah.
So my real name is Waad Jerkas, and I am coming from my dad from Aleppo, my mom from a very beautiful town called Masyaf, which I really would love to invite you all to both areas. And I think, I will keep. It is who I am as well. It's both of them together. So I think it's really important part of our life. Like it's a history. It's something incredible and remarkable and painful, but also it was very important.
And I hope that the next conversation we have is in West Aleppo.
Welcome.
Waad al-Kateab, Waad Jerkas. It's an
Thank you.
absolute pleasure, and congratulations.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for watching this episode of The Big Picture, and a big thank you to our guest today, Waad al-Kateab. We want to hear what you have to say about this conversation, so please leave your thoughts in the comments below. And you can keep watching and following our on-the-ground coverage of the liberation of Syria and its aftermath by following our channels and subscribing, or going to our website, middleeasteye.org. As always, you can find this episode and all of our episodes in audio format wherever you get your podcasts from. And until next time, my name is Mohammed Hassan. Salam.